Now, I want to turn our attention to Congress for a moment and talk about some really fascinating testimony that was at a hearing about youth gender transition and the ethics of that medical practice. Chloe Cole, a 19-year-old detransitioner, a woman, she testified, and just, wow, guys, it's heartbreaking stuff. I want you to take a look at this.
Puberty is a rite of passage to adulthood, not a disease to be mitigated. Enough children have already been victimized by this barbaric pseudoscience. Please let me be your final warning.
During the House Judiciary Subcommittee hearing on gender transition surgeries, 19-year-old detransitioner Chloe Cole detailed the path of coercion she received from doctors, ultimately leading her to start transition process at the age of 12.
And the adults in my life whom I trusted affirmed my belief, and this caused me lifelong, irreversible harm. I speak to you today as a victim of one of the biggest medical scandals in the history of the United States of America.
Doctors used a common messaging tactic on her parents.
They felt like they needed to get outside help from medical professionals, but this proved to be a mistake. It immediately set our entire family down a path of ideologically motivated deceit and coercion. The gender specialist I was taken to see told my parents that I needed to be put on puberty-blocking drugs right away. They asked my parents a simple question: would you rather have a dead daughter or a living transgender son? The choice was enough for my parents to let their guard down, and in retrospect, I can't blame them. This was the moment that we all became victims of so-called gender-affirming care.
She outlined what the mutilating surgeries had done to her.
I had a double mastectomy at 15. After my breasts were taken away from me, the tissue was incinerated. Before I was able to legally drive, I had a huge part of my future womanhood taken from me. I will never be able to breastfeed.
She said while she was not suicidal before the transition, like the doctors threatened, she did become suicidal after the surgery.
My voice will forever be deeper, my jawline sharper, my nose longer, my bone structure permanently masculinized, my Adam's apple more prominent, my fertility unknown. I look in the mirror sometimes and I feel like a monster.
So, firstly, my heart just breaks for Chloe. I wish I could reach out through the screen and give her a hug. What she went through is just unimaginable, and I'm so sorry that she was misled, failed by doctors, and that she's going to have to deal with this for the rest of her life. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, and detransitioners, they deserve our complete respect and empathy and support. But folks, this is part of why I believe you should have to wait till you're an adult or at least reach the age of consent to medically transition. I just don't think a minor can really reckon with the life-altering consequences of making a decision that will impact your fertility, let alone removing body parts or things that cannot be undone. It's just just not the kind of thing any 14, 15, 16-year-old could possibly fully understand. Their brains are still developing. I just think back to myself at 15, and as a gay person, I still thought I was totally straight and just did not have any idea about why my feelings were so incongruous. And I could not have made any lifelong decisions about my body or about my future. And so I just think we have to protect minors from this, and we have to wait to the age of adulthood or the age of consent before they can do this kind of thing, because it's not fair to them. And you literally can't even get a tattoo at 15, but she got a double mastectomy? That's madness. I also really appreciate what Chloe said about her parents and the empathy she has for them and how she doesn't blame them for going along with this. Because sometimes on the right, I see people vilify the parents of gender-confused youth who are transitioning them and say that they're abusing their kids or they're bad parents. And I don't agree with that. I think many times these parents are just listening to the experts, to what they're told, and they're told these emotionally manipulative things, like this doctor told Chloe's parents, apparently, that you will either have a trans child or a dead child. That is emotional manipulation, not medically ethical guidance from a doctor to parents. And so I completely understand why parents go down this path and just trust the experts. And if it ends up really harming their child, I don't blame the parents for that so much. So I always am a little uncomfortable when folks on the right bash the parents in these situations, because I think it's a lot more complicated than that. But anyway, I'm glad Chloe's message is getting out there, and I am actually excited to announce that she will be joining me on Damage Control in a few weeks. So we're going to dive deep into her story, and I'm so excited. And I'm really, it takes real courage to speak up like that in public. I've actually testified before the Senate, and it's just scary. And I was just talking about policy and journalism stuff. I can't imagine bearing my soul like that for the world. But she's doing a public service, frankly, by erasing these stories that have been for a long time overlooked and ignored by mainstream media, because people should know. People should know not just about the good cases and all this stuff, but also about the bad cases. And we need to have a serious reckoning with this stuff, because other countries are already backpedaling very fast on youth medical transition. And I think that we will have a lot to reckon with over the decades to come.